Here we go. So we're live on the John Lavinia Success Mastermind session, general session for the Mastermind group, 5th of April, Tuesday, 2022. So we've got our usual suspects with us, everyone smiling, which is always great to see. And Stuart is with us, which is a real treat. Stuart occupied the Tuesday slots. Well, he was just telling me it's a year ago, so that's a bit of a shock to me, but he is coming back to speak next week. So line up and be ready, because we always have great discussions with Stuart. I've taken it live. I'm just waiting for people dialing in as we speak. Bit of housekeeping. There is another session tonight, IVA with Corporate Curios, 5 p.m. Eastern time in the calendar, US, which is 10 p.m. at the moment in the UK. So if you can join for that, always great insights into management, relationships, business issues, office issues, everything you can imagine in terms of doing business, being involved in a team, and getting out there, and what can happen, what can go wrong, what you have to think about. Very useful, very insightful messages from Ivier, who's a great speaker as well, so it's a real treat. Anyway, I'm speaking in our general session. Anyone that wants to know more can go onto the John Lavinia Success Mastermind website. That will tell you more about joining the group. This is a mastermind group, mutual support to get forward in our endeavors along the lines of Napoleon Hill, for example, in his book. So if you want to learn more, it's all on the website. There's a fantastic library backing up this group of recordings going back well over 2 years on just about every topic you can imagine on personal development and on business subjects too. So without further ado, we will get going as people dial in. I wanted to talk today about climbing higher. And as always in life, this happened because last week I watched a man climb a palm tree, coconut palm, believe it or not. He had been hired to actually clear the coconuts and the palm fronds ahead of the storm season, the hurricane season, which here is a factor of life. You have to clear anything that could turn into a dangerous missile or that could pull down a tree. So you take the weight off, you take the missiles off ahead of any storms. Anyway, there was this man climbing the palm tree. Nothing remarkable then in that, you might think. They're systematically removed, happens every year, what the heck? But what's more interesting about that climbing man, as I learned after I spoke to him, is that he is literally climbing higher than anyone else is prepared to go in order to enter his niche market. And that is what struck me. So this man climbs taller, higher trees that nobody else can tackle with their ladders and doesn't want to go up because they've either got vertigo or don't have the equipment or the experience. So he literally climbs into his niche. And other tree clearers don't want to take the work. They refer it to him. So just to recap for people dialing in, I was watching a man climbing a palm tree to clear coconut palms and coconuts ahead of the hurricane season. And he climbs trees no one else will climb. So there's a niche there. There are many other people, they've got ladders, perhaps no courage, perhaps no equipment. He just dons his clamps and gets on with it, shins to the top, cleans everything for you. And other people then actually call him. So let's hold that image, this image of a man climbing a coconut palm for the rest of my discussion today, because that is the image that stayed in my head. It's a really graphic illustration of providing services and finding niches, which really is important, particularly at our end of the market. He goes literally further than others, climbs higher into a less contested niche where there's either no competition or very little competition. And that tells me a lot of things. It tells us, it shows how important niches are, and it shows how we can push a little bit further in order to capture business. It also shows how our acceptance of the current shape of the market and the nature of it needs to be constantly challenged. We could have just looked at the tree and said, well, there you go, that's the tree, that's it. The man's got a ladder 30 odd feet, that's it. But no, it wasn't it at all. The man turned up all of a sudden and climbed higher. So I stood staring at that tree and had a business lesson delivered to me right in front of me. Invaluable. So let's take, first of all, if I may, the acceptance of the status quo and perception as a subject, as part of this tree climbing talk today. Chuck Yeager, who broke the sound barrier, first man to do so, said, rules are made for people who aren't willing to make up their own. Very interesting. He broke the sound barrier. He was always pushing it further and higher. And nobody knew what they were going to face when they tried to do this. As the speeds increased, dreadful things happened. There were massive risks. They had to adapt very quickly and react and get on with it, but they still went in search of that elusive high ground. And they flew back above Mach 1 eventually, 761 miles an hour, I'm told, at sea level, depending on the air temperature. So it's not always constant. He broke Mach 1. And now we fly at Mach 6.7, 4,520 miles an hour. And an unmanned aircraft can do Mach 9.835, 7,545 miles an hour. Now, those initial pioneers, they just had to dare to climb above Mach 1 at 761. And in doing that, they created a whole new world, a whole new understanding, and they created new rules. And that's what it's all about for us. This is another way of putting it. You stand in front of a palm tree with the largest ladder you can buy in order to clear off those coconuts and those palm fronds and just say, yep, that's it. That's the way it is. I can't do anything about it. Or you stand in front of that palm tree and say, there must be a better way. There's no way I am not clearing those coconuts and those palm fronds. Chuck Yeager again. Chuck Yeager said, you don't concentrate on risks, you concentrate on results. No risk is too great to prevent the necessary job from getting done. That's what Chuck Yeager said. Now, that might be a little extreme for some of us, but you can see the gist of what he's trying to say. There are just two types of people. And I know this from observing people over many, many years. There are two types of people. Those who accept rules and norms without question, and those who notice rules and norms but challenge them in seeking a positive outcome. And you've got to decide which side of the fence you want to be on. In creating their own market, in breaking through, you just try and accept the status quo, deliver what you can, and say it's always been that way. You can't imagine how many people have said to me the time-honored phrase, that's the industry standard, that's how we do things. And I know the moment they say that, I'm in trouble. I'm talking to the wrong person. So do you do that, or do you notice the market around you for your idea, your product, your service, whatever it is you're doing, and then examine the different possible outcomes? This is fundamental to thinking. This is fundamental to the way we have to approach what it is we want to do if we're going to achieve that ultimate goal. Bruce Lee, what did he say? He said, if you always put limits on everything you do, physical or anything else, it will spread into your work and into your life. There are no limits. There are only plateaus, and you must not stay there. You must go beyond them, which again sums it up rather nicely. So yes, we may have to accept the market and rules as they are until we really understand them, and we can then challenge them, and we can practice being efficient at them. But we then need to come to the point where we reach an awareness, and we need to climb higher at that point to ascend into that new market or that new niche. Because if we stay where we are, the likelihood of doing something really special is a lot slimmer. So just remembering in this that there's always another way. There's always more than one solution. And if we keep climbing that tree, we're going to find it, because there's more than one way. There's always more than one way. Do we look at a wall or a building and say, oh, there's only one way of building that? We don't. We shouldn't be doing that. We should always look at, how can I do that? How can I build it? How can I construct that? Remember again, Chuck Yeager, rules are made for people who aren't willing to make up their own. So let's make our own rules and go that extra mile, and let's go higher than the other people are prepared to go. That's what it takes. Work out what can be done and find that niche that's yours, because you're unique and you can find your unique extra mile solution. At this point, Abraham Lincoln, from another perspective, said, we can complain because rose bushes have thorns, or rejoice because thorn bushes have roses. So there's another way of doing things, another way of seeing things. Let's just do it. Let's take Abraham's advice there and just do it. There's another way of seeing that rose bush. It's all about attitude. That's what they're telling us. That's what all these people are telling us. It's a can-do attitude we need to build. And that might take effort on our part, deeper work really than just our mindset. We need to work right back and deep into the bedrock behind the mindset, into our spirit, our soul, our core values, our beliefs, what we really are and who we want to be. Because that's what we're talking about in the mastermind group. It's who we want to be, not who we've been. I've talked about that before. Matshona Tiliweo said, you rise in your mind when you have ascended in your soul. We have to build our soul and our spirit to rise in our mind. but we can develop that inner self. We can rise to those challenges, and then we can go on from that work to create a new mindset and then a whole new reality. And I've seen so many people in this group over the last couple of years doing just that. So let's go back to our man in front of the palm tree. We see once again our man. He's found a way to go beyond, to climb higher, to open a whole new niche by clearing the things that other people won't do. And he gets paid for that. He actually gets referred to by other service providers because they've run out of steam. So take it, it's yours, take the money. He had the courage and the faith to go higher and to just explore that niche one step beyond that comfort zone where the other players stay, because that's their comfort zone. They could do it, but they won't do it. And that takes, as we saw, a mindset in which we're prepared to challenge things. But it also takes faith. Faith to believe when it's beyond the power of reason to believe. That's how Voltaire put it. Beyond the power of reason to believe, but we've got to have faith to believe it anyway. And in exercising that faith, we can have the courage to take a look and the awareness to actually notice what we're doing, notice the market, notice the opportunity. What lies just beyond that level that I climbed previously? That's what we should be saying. What lies beyond that mountain crest? And Stuart will tell us this. You can see a mountain crest from miles away. Sometimes you reach a ridge and there's nothing on the other side, or there's something on the other side and another peak. You can never tell lower from lower down. But we're going to encounter fear doing these things as we climb higher. And as we look beyond the normal, it gets uncomfortable. But the strange thing about all that is that with practice, fear becomes our new normal, our habitual, our comfort zone. You start to evolve into it. We have to inhabit the zone of fear until it becomes the zone of comfort. We have to put ourselves out there in finding these niches, finding these opportunities. Carol C.C. Miller, she said, your fears will appear smaller and smaller as you rise above them. It's practice. It's just doing it. How many of you and how many in this group couldn't even imagine setting out on an entrepreneurial journey 2 years ago, never thought they would ever do it? And now it's become second nature and it's embedded as part of their thinking. So I'm sure that the palm tree climber I'm referring to was uneasy in his first few climbs, but he did it anyway. Start climbing the tree. That's the most important step. Do the first tree. Providing you plan the basics, you're going to rise up that tree. So starting simply is important, just taking action, taking some action, getting the first foot on the ladder at the tree, sorting out the basics. It all flows from there. Another quote, I've thrown in a few quotes today, but another one I love, St. Francis of Assisi. Start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. Great, great inspirational quote. He said a lot of inspirational things. I wanted to mention another quote of his, which has a religious reference, but it applies to the whole of our life. He also said, do all you can to preach the gospel, and if necessary, use words. And that's so, so important. Practice what you preach and live it before you have to speak about it. Imbue your work with it, all your services with it, with your spirit, your offerings, the spirit of what you believe in. Invest that in what you're doing. And what you're trying to deliver to other people should show that without having to speak it. You won't need words. Your actions and the quality of your engagement in the process are going to speak for themselves. And as the coconut palm tree man worked high up the tree, I watched him. It fell dark. He refused to stop, didn't come down, dark, didn't complain once, didn't want anything. He just got on with the job and delivered exactly what he promised the people he was going to do. He climbed way above his peers and competitors, literally won the work and then did it. He had a near monopoly at heights with these trees. He could have just rested on his laurels, taken it easy, but he didn't do that. He worked hard, he kept going, he delivered 100% of what he said he was going to do. No words were needed in order to convey the quality of his work. No words were needed. It was there for all of us to see right in front of us. And that's what it takes to climb higher and rise above. We have to exceed those expectations, go higher than others are prepared to go. It isn't easy. It takes effort and practice, but it's worth it. And then we also discussed recently, coming more towards the end of what I wanted to say, the fact that we are a marketplace. In fact, there's a recording in the library about us being a marketplace and how we should see that. We set out our stall and we literally sell ourselves, our skills, our products, and our beliefs every time we do that. But neither the world nor those markets stand still. And just as that palm tree is going to grow higher and he will have to climb higher, we need to go the extra distance to refresh our offerings, to innovate constantly. We may get away with selling the same thing for many years, but eventually we will need a new angle, perhaps a completely new product or a new service. Niches open and niches close. They don't stay forever stationary, as some businesses have found to their cost. Actually, some quite big businesses. But we can play those niches. And at the smaller end, while we're at the smaller end of the spectrum in business, those niches are our savior. They are our opportunity to take on Goliath and win, which we couldn't normally do on an open level playing field. Our pine tree climber literally went above and beyond in his niche, and he actually then got referrals. We can look around and say, what need can we fill? Can we go beyond where others are going now? What can we deliver? Is there something I can't get? Is there something I don't like about what I'm seeing in the market at the moment? Is there something I can do better than others? And Stuart's talked to us about this before, trying to hone down his trail and trekking service when he first set it up to make sure it was interesting enough and unique enough that he got the calls, not the other guy that decided to set up in competition. So is there something you could do better than other people? Is there something perhaps few people can provide that you have? Those are the places to start in examining where we could go with our niche. And the market's littered with examples, ideas, and opportunities. And particularly since the larger players tend to hoover up the larger morsels, leaving the corners for us, the darker corners for us. There's opportunity in those harder to access pieces of the market. It takes extra effort. Maybe the reward is lower, which is why the giants won't go for it. But we can. Our cost base is lower. So closing up really today, thinking about niches, I wanted to say, look, you can look everywhere. Bring something from another country, cross-fertilize from another market, add an element into the product or the market that hasn't been added before. Look to other markets then for ideas, not just your own area. Look to a completely different market or segment. Say, what are they doing? Hey, I can translate that in a different way. Can I add on a service, maybe a personal aspect to the service? What can I do for the specific customer? Can I provide a cleaning service for the product? Can I refurbish products? Can I change the colors and send them a new updated version? Can I provide lost parts, repairs, gift customization? These are all things we can do. Can we just improve the experience or make it more fun, easier, more fulfilling? And we've heard cookery examples of this with recipes and kitchen experiences, making a whole experience rather than just a product out of what you're already doing, for no real extra work. And maybe there's just a straight gap in the market. Maybe people want it faster, they want it local, they want refills, they want an environmentally friendly version. We've talked about this many times. Can I just improve the service? Make it more proactive, more personal, more supportive? Maybe I can bring other skills that I have from other interests, hobbies such as art or music, into my product. People have done that, combined all their interests into one product and produced a super product or a different idea. And finally, our coconut tree climber just got on with the job and climbed higher. He brought his climbing skills in to an apparently totally unconnected market. And his climbing came into its own. He got paid just for climbing higher. And you can do that too. You can create your own niche around what you are and who you are and what you're good at. So look very closely and make some notes perhaps of what you're really good at, you're interested in, the skills that you have. Maybe there's more than one you can bundle because you are unique and that is your strength and you are you. So work out what you have at your fingertips really and combine it. Often use marketing phrases, the riches are in the niches. That's a good one. So I'm going to leave you then standing in front of my palm tree with this chap climbing up, and I'm literally watching him climb above into his own niche and his own revenue share of the market. It was a striking business lesson. And all I can say is let's start climbing palm trees. Let's go and create those niches. Let's go forward and prosper and climb, because we can do it. I know you can all do it. It's actually there. You perhaps just haven't noticed it yet. So we need to look a bit harder. I'd love to open up at that point. Anyone who has any thoughts on niches, going beyond, providing more, being aware of the opportunities, not being afraid to try, to practice, to have a go, all those wonderful quotes we had. Abraham Lincoln looking at the rose bush in a different way, as an opportunity rather than as a spiky nuisance. So who has any thoughts today? I'd love to hear you. Who's going to open up? We're all quiet today. Any thoughts, Stuart? Yeah.
Of course. I just don't like to hog the mic. I want to encourage anybody to speak up, of course. What did you say? There's reaches in the niches. I appreciate that.
Riches, yeah, riches in the niches. Yeah, absolutely. That's what they say in marketing.
Niches.
John will probably tell you that.
It's true, man. I mean, I built my whole career around a niche, right? And looked at what I was interested in, what I was passionate about, what special skills I had, and turned it into an entrepreneurial venture. No competition, right? Kind of pioneered a career in an industry and just kind of made it up as I went. Even in the e-commerce world, in the course that we all took together, or at least most of us took together that we met at 2 years ago, one of the first things we learned was identify niches and areas and search terms that have low competition, but enough traffic, let's say, to make it worthwhile, but not don't go after the big sellers and the big companies. Find those target niches where there's enough traffic that you can create a business and benefit, but you're not going up against the mega sellers and the big companies and things like that, right? And so I think there's a threshold, right? How, in terms of e-com and product research, it's, well, does this search term have more than X thousand search volume? If it's lower than that, it's probably not worth it based on the numbers game. And if you're talking about going up against something that has 1 million searches a month, well, that those are the people that are spending big money on pay-per-click ads and big copywriters and all this kind of stuff, and people that spend their whole lives doing nothing but search engine optimization and things like that. So absolutely. I think this lends to finding your why, right, and understanding your purpose, and really doing some self-reflection and exercising some self-awareness about the kind of person you are and the things that you like, right? And I think so many of us either at one point in our lives or even now, but all growing up and then kind of jumping on the conveyor belt and things like that, you tend to do what you're encouraged to do and what everybody else does. And you're talking about being the disruptor, right? And the rule breaker, but the market disruptors, right? The Chuck Yeagers, whether you're talking about the marketplace of ideas, right, or consensus reality and what people believe is possible or impossible. And I appreciated all those Yeager quotes about breaking the rules and forging your own path and things like that. And I think that that's a big part of what we're all trying to do in our lives, right? And I think for me, as being someone who, and like you guys, you take a course on something, and maybe at first, you try to follow the ABCs of Amazon selling or this or whatever, or private label or this or that, or whatever it is that we learn in these courses. And I think I found that once I hit a certain level of understanding and specialized knowledge about these things, that's when I start looking for the trail less traveled, right? And choosing products that I think are niche products. And then when I list products that are very conventional and I feel like there's 1,000 other sellers selling those things, and let's say those people have more resources than we do in terms of advertising and this and that, it can get disheartening to look and say, oh, well, there's 10 other sellers and they're they can sell these things for cheaper because they're bigger companies and they have access to this and that, whatever. And then, for me, it feels more comfortable. It feels more true to kind of look for the game trail in the forest that has traffic, but isn't the highway or whatever, right? And a place where I can feel comfortable and be myself to offer the kinds of products that I'm interested or do the thing that I'm passionate about, right? I love your observational skills about just seeing the coconut climbing tree climber guy, right? And that, he goes higher than everybody else and he does the gigs that nobody else wants to do, probably with a lower tech. Am I correct, Adrian? Was he kind of like a barefoot kind of guy, or but not the big
thing.
truck
Probably
and the
just
ladder?
a set of clamps, simple clamps, Stuart, on his feet. Went the whole distance. No one wanted to do it. That's free money. Free money.
That's the beauty in simplicity and low tech, right? And the guy, takes his resources and uses what he's got and makes a business about it. I would say that Kiyosaki would say he's in the SE quadrant, right? But that's a great place to be, especially if you're a one-person show, and that's what you're good at and what you can do and what pays the bills. And God bless him. I think it's great. You made a mountain climbing analogy about you get to the peak, and then sometimes you're at the summit and you look around and there's nothing lower than you, and you feel this great sense of achievement. But more often than not, you climb a peak and then, like you're saying, you look behind and you're like, oh crap, there's another one right there and another one right there. And that can be inspiring, or it can be disheartening or disenchanting as well. You're like, oh, I got to climb this other mountain. But that's life, right? Isn't that a great analogy for, you come to a precipice, you feel like you've done something, and then if you got half a sense of humanity or an understanding of what life is like, then you look and you're like, oh, well, let's go climb that mountain over there. That's exciting. The unorthodox approach, I think, is important for us to look at. And this goes back to what I was saying before about, we tend to hop on the conveyor belt of what seems to be working for other people, but it's really not until, and that's not to say like the orthodox approach doesn't work, right? Because there are millions of people that take conventional routes and become very successful. But at least for me, I've always been a horse before the cart, or a cart before the horse kind of guy. And obstacles be damned, right? And like, oh, that's where I want to go. Well, you can't get the horse to pull the cart over there. We'll pick the damn cart up and carry it over the river, and then we'll portage, right? Life is a portage, right? I think it's a great analogy. I loved what you were talking about, comfort kills, and how genius and magic resides on the other side of comfort, right? And once you step out of your comfort zone, that's where all the magic happens. Great job, man. Great chat. Nice to hear your voice today. Great to see all your faces. Glad to be here, man. Good job.
Great to see you, Stuart. It's great to see you back in the seat. And as we've just been talking about, you will be speaking. So we've got that to look forward to. That's a very exciting prospect. So thanks for all your comments. It's all out there, isn't it, Stuart, in daily life? All the things we need to know are all around us. All the analogies, all the inspirations we need. So as you said, you summed it up very well. And it's as simple as getting out there, getting that foot on the tree and just doing it. And we hesitate, we pre-plan, we over-plan, we worry, but you have to go for it. We'll see what John has to say. John, great to see you.
Hey, good to see you, Adrian, Stuart, everybody. Good to be here. Thank you for your talk today, Adrian. It was reminding me of the difference between the deliverable and the actual business. So you're talking about addressing a niche in a way that could be unique, or different combinations of things that different approaches. And I was thinking about something I heard from a great marketing mentor. And he talked about how you might be a plumber, and you think that's your business. And then he said, well, actually, no, that's the deliverable is plumbing, pipes, and services, what have you. But you're actually a marketer of plumbing. So that's the actual business, is getting it into the minds and hands and wallets of the public. Otherwise, you get to have a hobby. It's called, playing with pipes or whatever. And so that is, for me, as the topic shifted into, kind of like your personality type or what you're into and that sort of thing. Well, I'm into plumbing, not me personally, but if I was, I'm into plumbing. Am I into marketing? Do I want to navigate the nuances and never ending changes of Google, search engine optimization and algorithms? My goodness, it's mind numbing. So then what's the answer? What's the answer then? That's what I'm working on. That's what I'm working on. So my answer right now is, well, grab a shotgun, spray and pray, promote, right? Just get stuff out there, and then let the marketplace reveal this is what we respond to, or here's the niche. I have a friend, Steve Donahue. He's a author and speaker from Canada. He wrote the book Shifting Sands, which we could put on our book study group if you want. I actually got a case of them in my storage. We did a speaking event with him, and I said, send a bunch of cases of books. We'll sell the books. And we ordered too many. So I've got a bunch of books here, but maybe I'll do that as like a gift for all of our members here. I'll just send you a copy of his book. So, but anyway, he's not famous in the United States like Robert Kiyosaki, or pick some of these other authors. He's a great speaker, which is why we hired him a couple of times to do keynote speeches. He's great, but he is friggin' huge in South Korea. Now, his book, Shifting Sands, is about the journey of life as a metaphor for when he was trekking across the Sahara Desert. You need to use a compass and not a map, because the map, there's nothing to look at here. It's just sand dunes, right? So you need a compass. And there's the metaphor for, life. And never really did much in, his domestic market, US, Canada. But some Koreans got a hold of this, and like, this guy can't show up, in Korea without like having a mob scene there. Why? Uh-oh, we got somebody trying to impinge upon my Zoom session here. Can you guys still see me? I'm going to send that to
see
voicemail.
You've just gone to picture for the minute, but we can still hear you. We can still see
Okay, are we live? Yes, I'm back.
We're live. All good.
Okay. So I asked him, I said, why South Korea? Like, what was it about that market and those people and your message? And he said, I don't know. I don't know. So is it luck of the draw? I hope not. I don't believe in luck, right? So I was having another conversation, different guy, guitarist, brilliant guitarist in the metal world. Okay, I know this guy personally. He's played with a couple of bands that we played with, and blah blah blah. Anyway, he actually moved to Tampa, and started another band, and started a recording studio, and he's doing productions, and the other bands that he was in, really talented guys, great product. They're gone. They're out of business, right? They're like, we're gonna go do something else. And so I contacted this guy. His name is Eric, and I said, "Why you?" Right? These other guys. They were good too. You were in this band, that band. I thought that one was going somewhere. And his response was, now, granted, this is a guy doing heavy metal. Okay, so nobody's in that for the money. But he said, luck of the draw. I was like, no, dude, don't tell me that. No, you practice your guitar again and again, but so do those other guys. It has to come down to just marketing and hitting a target. The old saying, even a blind squirrel can eventually find a nut. Okay. So this guy made it in the music business, whatever make it means in the world of heavy metal. But, just like my buddy Steve made it in, speaking and being an author and lecturer in South Korea. Interestingly, he said that that the way the translations work over there, he doesn't speak Korean, by the way, but the way the translations work, like on his business card, he wouldn't have like author and speaker, because that's like really funny over there. Like, you're a speaker. Well, everybody's a speaker. We all speak. So that's not a profession in South Korea, speaker. Just interesting cultural thing. So even though he doesn't like get the culture, he got the market. So what the hell do I know? I'll shut up now. He had soul. Oh, Stuart, bam! That just happened. Stuart, he had soul. All right, I can't top that. I'm done talking. Thank you. Bye.
Very good. I think you just launched about 100 discussions there, John, for several weeks. But looking at the experience, looking at the plumber, it reminded me, because we're talking about niches today, the lady who was promoting coming to stay on her ranch, have a, just come riding. She thought about it a lot after quite a few months, and then decided, no, I'm now selling an experience. What I'm now selling is come to the ranch and become somebody different. And the whole thing blew up and took off. Because now people were phoning from cities and other walks of life saying, I want to be a different person. And they felt when they came, they were a different person. Now, maybe Stuart's encountered this in what he does. You sell transforming someone instead of giving them a horse riding experience. It was completely different. The whole result was different. The thing went crazy. So, there it is. It's the same thing, but it's marketing, packaging. It's not just a stroke of luck. I don't believe that. It is all about content. It's about material. Going back to your music example, I know for a fact, having seen a lot of these people, there are hundreds of thousands of technically brilliant musicians, many of whom are a lot better than the people that have made it, but they didn't have the material. So it was in the spirit of the material and what they wrote that caught on. That's what got the attention and got them to the next level. And then after that, after a while, they could almost do anything. But they would have been just another guy who was really good, another person great at music, but there are a lot of those people. That was a real lesson when I saw them. Every time I see these musicians, I think, why haven't they broken through? Just as you say. But it's not stroke of luck. It is not a stroke of luck. They have to capture the attention by going above and beyond and doing something special. Some material that catches the eye, catches the ear, catches the imagination. And that's what I've seen firsthand. I've really seen that. And again, talking about South Korea, my experience there is everybody is a prophet outside their own town. So just think about that one, John. In your own town, no one wants to listen to you. You're just another person they grew up with that they know, and it's old Fred or Sarah or whoever it is. You go outside your own town, suddenly you're a prophet. Hey, he's from New York. Crumbs, we better listen to him. This is what happens. So if you set yourself up, quite often you don't make the breakthrough in your own market immediately. That's the perversity of the system. I can go to a foreign country, I go regularly to France, and there suddenly I'm interesting because I'm different. My attitude's different, my background's different, my approach is different, I'm speaking differently. So people listen to you more. That maybe is a lesson to us all in talking about niches today. Go away from your own local immediate area, go into a different environment where suddenly you're interesting. Because it is, to me, John, the music, the writing, whatever it is we're talking about, South Korea, you've got to be different. You've got to be different. How do you be different? One of the ways is to be somewhere different where you are automatically different. Or if you want to stay where you are, change what you're doing and make it different. Suddenly, I'm selling weekends to change you into a different person. I'm not giving you a writing lesson. So yeah, very interesting, John. It's an interesting topic, and I think I'll probably talk more about this because I think these niches are really critical to getting a small business off the ground. So any other thoughts? Anybody have any follow-up thoughts? Gail's nodding her head. But smiling, as always. Always great to see you smiling, Gail. So if we don't have any other comments, we might wrap it up. There is another session tonight. Ivier speaking, Corporate Curios session, 5 p.m. Eastern Time US, 10 p.m. in the UK, that is. And she will be delivering more business and management lessons on teams, working in office environments, projects, you name it, management, challenges that we face, the things that have happened to her and the way she's tackled it. Very inspirational. That is later on this evening. So without further ado, unless anyone else wants to chip in, it's great to hear Stuart and John. Really great. Took me back to the old days with Stuart and John exchanging ideas on the net. It doesn't get better than that, folks. It doesn't get better than that. So Stuart, by the way, will be speaking next week. He's back on the Team Tuesday effort, which is very exciting. And we're going to do a bit of a relay. So I will hope to hear what he has to say. I think last time we spoke to Stuart, he was speaking about the cosmos. He was also speaking about Schrodinger's cat, which I haven't forgotten. So what's he going to come up with this time? We'll see. We'll see. Great to see everybody as usual. And thanks so much for joining. It's so great to see the family together and some old members logging back in. Great to see you there too, Edward. I know, Edward, you were religiously logging in. It's always great to have you there. And we're with you. We're always with you. So take care, everybody. Thanks for coming in and hope to see you later. Goodbye for now. Goodbye.